webinar. I can't even say Wednesday webinar. This is the first one in our series for marketing and admissions. We've had our first one for senior leaders, but today we've got our first one for marketing and admissions. So before I hand over to Sophie Walker, who's very kindly going to talk to us about AI in schools marketing, I just wanted to quickly introduce Gough. Gough is the CEO from Applica, and it is thanks to Applica that we are able to hold this series and not charge anybody for it. So I hope that you will enjoy today's session and indeed the other five that we've got across the year. And we are really grateful to Applica. If you're not an Applica school, I really would advise having a look at it. It really helps streamline your admissions processes and also your bursary processes, which I think at the moment is causing quite a lot of headaches for everybody. So Gus will speak a little bit more to us at the end, but without further ado, I'm conscious that it's lunchtime. I know working in schools, you've probably all already had your lunch, if I remember correctly. It was always an early start for those in the marketing department. And I will hand over to Sophie. So over to you, Sophie.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm Sophie Walker from Marketing for Success. Thank you to Applica for sponsoring this today and Felicia for inviting me on. I'm delighted that so many of you have given up your lunch break to join us today. So please turn your cameras off if you want to munch away. But hopefully this will give you a bit more in the next 45 minutes about how AI might fit into your daily working life. And you'll be pleased to know that it's been prepared by a human and been delivered by a human, but highly supported by AI. So just while we wait for a few more people to come in, I think Alicia is letting everyone in as we speak. I just thought we'd do a quick poll just to see where everyone is at. We've got quite a few people from different areas of the schools joining us. We've got marketing, admissions, development, a few deputy heads, that sort of thing. So have a look at this. I've got a swimming analogy here. So perhaps you could just pop in the chat. Alicia's going to keep an eye on it for me. What type of AI swimmer are you? Are you just floating? Or maybe you haven't even dipped your toe in yet. Are you just a light user of perhaps ChatGPT or Canva? Perhaps a bit of low confidence, but high curiosity? Or, like Alicia just admitted, are you a good doggy paddler? And she says that's what type of swimmer you are as well, right, Alicia?
Yeah.
But you know, do you use it regularly to save time? Is it becoming a bit more of a trusted resource? And I think a lot of people are in this camp. Or are you a bit more of a front crawler? Are you using it a bit more for an analysis, personalized comms? Or, and I'm not sure many people are in this area, and it's an area that I'm trying to work towards, are you a competitor swimmer? Have you got those automated workflows set up? Are all your staff trained? Is the whole school got an ethical use embedded in the culture? So I'd love for this webinar to be as interactive as possible if you can. So we all share our experiences. I think over the last few years, we've all benefited from sharing whatever level of AI you're at. Just pop in the chat and I'm going to be asking a few things as we go through. So any ideas, Alicia, is anyone giving you any feedback as yet?
Yes, so it seems that the majority are doggy paddle stroke front crawl. So a few
Brilliant.
doggy paddlers looking to go into front crawl. Nobody's claiming to be a competitive swimmer. Maybe we should ask this question again at the end, Sophie.
Yes, and I think when I did it 6 months ago,
increased.
most people were floating. So it's really good that people are making progress in this area. But don't feel ashamed if you're still floating, because, you know, it's such a big area to get to grips with, particularly if you're a solo marketer in a small school and you're doing it in isolation. So without further ado, I think we've probably got most people in now. But a little bit about me. Why am I talking here today? My background, 9 years in investment banking, and then fell into school marketing 21 years ago, as many of us do. And 18 months ago, I took a leap of faith to set up my own school marketing consultancy. And since then, I've worked with over 20 schools, which has given me so much insight into how every school is unique in its operations. Always been an early adopter of new tech. I was the first school to adopt personalized perspectives and to launch TikTok. But last year, when my business was in its infancy, I decided to take my first qualification in years with the Chartered Institute of Marketing, an AI and marketing specialism, and lead in and also did a few online courses available through LinkedIn. So whilst I don't pretend to be an expert in this area, I'm definitely an enthusiast and extremely curious. So my aim is to stay ahead of the curve, to support my business, but also to support you all in my sharings and in my learnings. And it is changing weekly, if not daily. So it's an area that I'm constantly researching. But I'm not just about AI, however, and it would be remiss of me not just to mention what else I do to support schools. So from full marketing, strategic support to hands-on awards, copywriting, website updates. And I work with heads, governors, directors and admissions. So go to my website if you want to find a little bit more. But for further ado, let's set the context. We're in such a tough time right now. You're being asked to do more than ever, more channels, more competition, increased pricing, more pressure to report on ROI. Many of us not able to recruit more people, and many of our good, experienced staff are leaving the industry with burnout. So I am one of these people that know and feel your pain. But can AI help you here? And I really do believe it can. It's now the time, if you haven't already, to embrace it and not be scared of it. And I don't want to be all doom and gloom. I mean, never has it been a better time to be in marketing. I think that's a really, really positive thing. It is so easy now to create something. I have never been like a graphic designer, but now I can create. I don't have to go to a designer anymore to put my vision into reality. I can now ask AI to do it for me. With its effective use, it can really be your superpower. You've got to think of it as your super smart assistant to really help you along. But also so important to have a growth mindset. After all, it's what we tell most of our pupils, and hopefully today will be one of the best CPD hours that you will take this year. So think of it, it's not about learning a new technology, it's about how the best technique on how to use it. Forget all the scaremongering you hear everywhere you turn. And you may have questioned, is it right to get involved? But I think we've all moved on and realized that AI is now part of our lives. And if we don't stay abreast of it, we are going to get behind. As Andrew Ng, the co-founder of Google Brain, quotes, AI is like the wheel. It is our new electricity. And whilst it's been around since 2017, it's been freely available since November 2022. Some examples of real world applications. Many of us, know about it through Waze, Alexa, Netflix recommendations, Tesla self-drive. And who isn't loving the cleanup option on their phone? I absolutely love that. These are three sort of key areas that I've seen significant progress in AI, and also, particularly in the education sector. But we're not seeing it across the board in schools. A lot of it is within universities or within those schools that are slightly further ahead, that are creating guides, tests and quizzes within their classrooms and more personalized learning. But one thing I've seen, I don't know about you, in the news recently, huge advancements in the medical sector. And I think that is where AI, we're really seeing the benefits of it. And it was particularly poignant for me this summer when a close friend of my daughter's had a stroke, and his diagnosis was within hours rather than days like it used to be, and effectively saved his life. So there's some really, really amazing things out there that AI can be credited for. So if you don't need convincing that AI makes a difference, this is a quite useful study that I came across in my research with Procter & Gamble, and they did a bit of research to show the impact of AI on individuals and teams. And they wanted to understand the impact of it. And I think this is just a really, really neat little example of the quality of output. So you can see an individual on its own, but with AI, look at the super injection of quality. And then a team, the impact not so great, but even so, still a big impact. And then on time saving, look at the massive difference here between a lone worker with AI and then a team. Actually, it's a negative in time saving, but actually with AI that projects into huge time savings. I've included a link here. You are going to get the recording afterwards. Alicia's going to share that with you. But if you want to know a little bit more about that study, it goes there. But we're not huge companies like P&G. So why would we not even so lean in at such a pressurized time for schools to allow you to work on strategy and building those crucial relationships? With so much AI going around there, people still really craving those human connections, which is why it's so important to keep that in our focus. I'm going to talk a little bit more about HI, as in human intelligence, going forward, and how we need to balance that with AI. So where do you fit into your school with AI? Is it something that you're just doing independently on your own, or are you doing it as a whole school approach? schools have so many priorities, and AI is often just another one that's added to the bottom of the heads list. The AI should be able to help with all the other priorities above it. It shouldn't be a bolt-on. Remember, it's our new electricity. I went to a really interesting conference at Cottesmore School a few weeks ago to try and keep abreast of what was happening from a teaching perspective, because I think it's very easy when you're on the marketing mission side just to go to the marketing missions conferences. And I saw this coming up, but actually, what are they talking about in the teaching side of things? So I thought I would share a little bit. They had some amazing speakers, one of which was Rose Luckin, who's a professor from UCL, one of their key speakers. And her studies show that most schools and universities need someone who possesses these three qualities in order to drive AI within their organizations. But unfortunately, most educational environments don't have somebody who's got leadership position, they've got the passion and the human elements, the input that we need to put in. And whilst 83% of companies say AI is a priority, 50% of teachers are now using it, which I didn't think was too bad, actually, but so much less for support staff, which is unfortunately what we're categorized into. Only 19% of schools' support staff are using AI currently. Support staff such as PAs, accountants, the admissions and marketing staff are often forgotten about, but can be such a game changer for them and for the business. Currently, and understandably, the focus is on education, which is obviously key as it's the product that we offer. And significant progress is being made in particular areas, particularly in SEND and personalised education. It's making a massive difference to those pupils. But it's not widespread. It's only those schools that are becoming early adopters of AI. And what I suppose really hit home to me in that conference is, I'm always looking for the solutions, the end results. But schools and thought leaders, and you can include government in this if you like. I don't know whether we want to mention Bridget Phillipson here, but they're still redefining the purpose of education in the AI age. We're at that key transition, or what you call liminal stage. There are no definitive answers as yet on how we're going to educate our pupils. But what we do know, and Anthony Seldon, who was the keynote speaker, is that we do know the horizon is changing. It is going to impact us, but we just don't know how big that is yet. But we do know it's very big. Some educators are saying, do we need to fill a child's brain with knowledge now that we have AI? Are we inputting it all? Or is instead, do we need to teach them how to use AI and all the knowledge that it has and use that effectively and morally? Some early adopting schools are offering AI to their teachers to prevent burnout. Use MS Copilot as your supportive PA, but many are not using it because they don't know how. Some schools are saying use ChatGPT for your personal work and then the school Copilot for working stuff. But that's not working for those that prefer ChatGPT. So there's no real one solution for schools right now. But what we do know for sure is that we need a collaborative approach, support and training for all staff, and that you need to have a seat at the table if you can. So if you can, seek out your AI lead if you have one, or failing that, your head of IT, discuss how you can use AI safely and effectively in your work or department. And if that's not a no-go, if you're in a really small school where that's just not feasible, then start using it personally at home to see how it might benefit you. And then you'll be able to convince your line manager or the head of the benefits that you can bring in. So how can AI help me? It's not just a tool to use at work, and I know many of you are probably using it across these three areas already. But for me, it's been crucial in my day-to-day work with schools for research, for analysis, for proofing, for ideas, for strategy and personalization. I use HubSpot, so it's absolutely fabulous for that. In my career, it helped me set up my business. It produced my logo, my website. I use an AI platform. I'm not a coder, but I did it all myself. My daughter, she's looking for jobs at the moment. She's able to upload job specifications, descriptions, and to help her personalize application letters, obviously with lots of input at the end, but also researching jobs, such huge time savers. And personally, I use it all the time. I'm trying to sell a picture at the moment my parents gave me, which I don't particularly like, but it's been really helpful in ascertaining whether it's got any value and where to sell it from. Brilliant for holiday research and booking trips. And personally, actually, I had an issue with a friend this summer, and ChatGPT really helped me to resolve it with some different approaches to try. Lots of people use it for cooking and gardening tips, but beware. Don't get too dependent, as there have been some worrying stories about the emotional connections some have built with their AI tool. So in areas of school marketing, these are the 4 key pillars that AI can really, really help with content management, which a lot of people start with, but also in analyzing data. And I think this is where, from a missions perspective, it can become really helpful when you're analyzing data trends and conversion rates. Really, really useful. Personalizing communications. I know a lot of schools are getting better at this with use of CRM platforms. And then also predicting behavior. It can strategize for you. Once you build those workflows in, it can then help you to predict the types of families that are likely to engage and inquire. But where do you start? What AI tools do you use? I love this picture of this bloke. People bombarded me with so many different tools last year, and I quickly became confused. And it really is still the case today. You'll be talking to somebody about it. Have you tried this? And you're like, oh, no, I haven't. Perhaps I should. And you sort of get a bit of FOMO. But they're all progressing at rapid speeds. Some have been absorbed by larger companies. Others are being superseded overnight. You've got Claude and ChatGPT and Grok. They're all sort of going one step ahead of each other, and then the other one catches up. But I've done a little bit of the homework for you, and hopefully over the next few slides, I can keep you updated on some of the tools out there. So I'm going to start with ChatGPT because it's the key tool that most of you will have tried. It's one of the widely used AI apps in the world, especially in the category of generative AI. And here's why. OpenAI reported that ChatGPT reached over 100 million users within months of its launch in late 2022. And as of today, it remains one of the most popular tools globally. When I last did this slide, it was at 1,400 million in February this year. And now the latest stats are 800 million weekly users. And it's so versatile. It's used for writing, coding, summarizing, tutoring, planning, and by all sorts of different people. And it's now ChatGPT is integrated into Microsoft Copilot and powers many third-party applications also. 190 million daily active users, which equates to almost 1 in 10 people on Earth. 2.5 billion daily prompts. 1 in 5 adults equates to has tried ChatGPT. So incredible pickup over the last few years. But despite that rapid growth, it is still advancing faster than we are. It's just mad. And in the marketing sector in particular, a really, really big take up. And I think that's a lot to do with our nature, that we are curious individuals in marketing. We are creative and we often try new things. So a lot of marketers are now using it in other sectors. So a lot of people are using the free version. I'm a big supporter of the Plus. However, even over the last 6 months, the free version is getting a lot more application that you can use. So you can upload files now, for example, which you couldn't do before. So you can do a lot of it on the free version, but what you'll find is you'll have limitations. It's not as fast. You can't do as much. You can't upload so many things. So I would highly recommend having the paid version, the Plus version. But I know when I was last talking to a group, not many schools were using the business option at all, apart from one at TASIS England, where they were using the business option for teams. And she was telling me how useful that was, because I've never used it because I'm not in the team anymore. And perhaps you can put in the chat or tell others if you are using the business option in your teams. But it means that you can have a lot of the prompts that you're using, you can share, and it's all your outputs are all shared. You can still have your personal side, but you also have your business area. And then that can link to Google Drive, SharePoint, or whatever. And that's, I think, £25 to £30 per user per month. So not too much more, but actually that can be a really, really useful way of doing it. Alicia, has anyone put that in the chat?
No, nobody's got anything.
Not as yet. It'd be really good to know if you are using that, because to see how useful it has been for you. Just a quick note, always make sure your data controls are safe. This is ChatGPT privacy settings, but whatever tool you're using, first thing you should do is head over to the settings and make sure that you may want to share your information with everyone, but I would recommend that you don't. You don't want to put your data or whatever you're using, and we'll talk a bit more about data on the next few slides, but make sure you, in this section here, improve the model everywhere, make sure that's off. Okay, it's found in your settings. Another thing I'd recommend, so your ChatGPT has developed quite a lot over the year. Go into your customization settings, which is just above, when you go to settings over your name, it says customize ChatGPT. And this is where a lot of people get frustrated by the outputs that it doesn't use UK spelling. It's got the M dashes, which are really annoying. This is where you can tailor and ask your chat to, or whatever tool you're using, to output exactly how you want. And you can ask it to be challenging, encouraging. You know, a lot of people say, oh, it just says what you want it to say and is nice to you, but you can ask it to be more inquisitive, or more challenging. And here I put referred to me as Sophie. And so I have quite a good conversation with my chat. And again, temporary chat. This is a new feature that's just come on the last few months. I don't know if any of you have noticed it. So when you go to do a new chat, in the top right-hand corner here, I've expanded it here so you can see it a bit better. There's a tiny little circle. And I find this really, really useful for just those quick asks that I do every day. And I don't want it to fill up my search bar, you know, your prompts down the left. So if you haven't seen that, use that, because it's just really good for those little quick asks. Who's got confused by custom GPTs and projects? Again, these are two things that have emerged over the last few months, and they've sort of rolled out independently. And I just thought I'd put up here that how I use them and how you might think about using them if you're not already. Before you start every AI section in ChatGPT, just think about what you are using it for. So I use custom GPTs for all my clients. I have a separate one for each school group or school. So you can populate it with files, with the personas, with brand voice. So it then doesn't cross-contaminate, because if you're just putting into the prompts, it may think that you're talking about a different school. And if you are a school, you might want to use it, for example, for your nursery, your prep, have separate ones for each of the sections of your school, because you should be talking and segmenting your audiences within those different sections on how you talk to them. So I would recommend you use a custom ChatGPT for each section of your school, or say you're part of a school group, you could put each individual school in that section. Projects is better if you're working on a project, for example, like prospectus copy or website copy. And again, it keeps all the files in one place, so you haven't got to keep searching or uploading them. Really, really, really useful. And now there's also a library function as well, because the image generation has got so much better over the last few months. They've now created a library. So you haven't got to go through and find in your prompts anymore, or your old prompts. You can go to the library and see all the images that you have generated. Hopefully 3 little tips there on how to use those new functions. And don't forget about the mobile app. A lot of people don't realize you can download it on your phone. I use it like Siri, use it as a phone prompt, and really, really useful. And just a little quick breather here. We'll have a bit of water. Who has given their ChatGPT a name? I call mine Charlie. I was talking to Alicia earlier on. She managed to convince her children that GPT standard for, was it Giles, Paul and Tom or something, Alicia?
Yes, Peter and Tom. Yeah, they totally believed me. And then now we change the names if we go on holiday. So if we're in Italy, we need like Giovanni and things. So yeah.
Yeah, apparently it was a prototype name and they never thought it would become a brand, hence why it's not a very catchy name. I think it'll probably end up just being called Chat or something. But when I'm talking to my family, I go, I'm just going to go and ask Charlie. And they now don't realize, they realize it's not my, my lover or something. They'll realize that I'm just going to go and talk to my AI agent. So any other names going in there, Alicia? Any funny names?
No, everybody's keeping quiet. Everybody's obviously far more sensible than you and I, Sophie.
Alicia? Or maybe they just haven't given it a name yet, but you could have a bit of fun with this within
your
teams.
Botvia, very exotic.
Botvia?
Yeah.
I haven't come across that one before. Love it. Love it. Anyone others coming in?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Hang on. We got another
one. Come on, be brave, everyone. Be brave.
Oh, Mr. ChatGPT, but I think that's incredibly sexist. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. But then again, I did go for 3 male names, didn't I, with Jeff, Peter and Tom? So maybe I need to get some girls'
Charlie
names
for me is quite a unisex name, so I thought that was quite safe. So, but yeah. Anyway, moving on. So I'm going to run through, we haven't got much time today, so I'm going to whiz through this. But I did do a training module with ISP earlier this summer. So if you want to know a bit more detail about these, Alicia will give you some details or a link at the end if you want me to go into a bit more detail. But I've sort of separated these up into sort of different functions, those 4 pillars that I showed on the slide before. So this slide is really showing you that some of the key tools out there for content generation research. We've talked lots about ChatGPT or Charlie. Claude. Now, this is gathering momentum hugely, and it's not just used for content generation anymore. It's by Anthropic, and people are finding it. It's some people prefer the style and the writing that Claude puts out. So definitely worth a try. And you'll see there's a link here at the bottom of the slide. I did a bit of a test on which content tool is top of the class a few months ago. And I really just recommend just using the free versions just to try these top 3 or 4, just to see which style you prefer. Gemini is the Google's AI, and some say this is the best app or tool to use if you're working on SEO or something like that. Because of it, Google Analytics, the whole Google platform, a lot of people prefer to use Gemini, and the outputs are really, really strong. And the image creation, gosh, I only tried it yesterday, so much faster than ChatGPT. And does anyone know that the name that they've given their image creation, like bot or whatever? Do you know, Alicia? They're calling it Nano Banana. So if you hear that expression, Nano Banana, that's the Gemini image creator. And I'll show you an example of it in the next few slides. Not sure whether to mention Grok, but it's the X's witty chat box by Elon Musk. And after his recent behavior, I'm not sure you want to touch it with a barge pole at a school, but we're not going to get involved in politics here today, are we, Alicia? No. But it is out there. Some people like it. It's quite chatty, conversational. It links to Twitter quite a bit, but just it's good for you to know it's out there. But I probably wouldn't recommend it given its, the politics around it. MS Copilot, a lot of schools are using a Microsoft, and you will see all the AI that's built into it. My son has it in his accountancy firm, and he was showing me how that worked the other day, and it links to documents within SharePoint. Really quite cool, but sometimes it's just not enough for what you need. Perplexity, again, I did a poll on LinkedIn last week. A lot of people are using this for sort of more deep research, and it comes up with all the sources. So really good for sort of research-led blogs if you're having to do a presentation about something, but perhaps not for every day. But please do put in which ones you're using into the chat, just to give everyone a bit of a feel of what you're using in your school. Are you stuck with using Google if you're a Google school, or are you stuck with using Microsoft as a Microsoft school? So moving on to video, this is my favorite and fun area of AI, and I am going to show you a few examples of my favorite one here, where you can create avatars, you can create digital twins of yourself or the head or your head of admissions or whatever, and so many time-saving tools in this area. You can also do text to video generation with Sora and Runway ML. Descript is, I love this video editor, and I so wish I had it when I was working with schools. I remember having to video all the department heads to sort of describe their vision for their departments. There was this one chap, and he literally said every other word. I'm quite bad at it. But Descript has a really, really good function where it automatically transcribes your video. So it gives you the script. And then there's a really handy tool where you can go remove the ums, and it just goes through and it removes all the ums from your video just like that. It can also change certain words. So perhaps you said the wrong price. I think I did this as an example, didn't I, in the learning, Alicia? Say you said the wrong price or something, or the wrong date. It will lip sync. So you just change it in the text and it will change the video, and the lip syncing is incredible. Not great for whole sentences, but obviously you can cut a whole sentence, but really, really handy for those quick edits. And I think it's like $25 a month, which really is nothing. But if you're having to do a lot of editing, I would recommend that one right now. Lumen 5, again, there's an example in the training, but it's really good if you just want to bring to life a presentation. So say you've got a parents coming in for a short talk, or agents, and you can just write a script or a blog or something like that. You can either include 5 relevant photos, or you can take it from their stock library and put it to emotive music. And literally in 5 minutes, you can create this lovely emotive video from almost nothing, like within 20 minutes. You don't even have to go out and film it, or film yourself, or film whoever. Really, really top tip, that one. And then Loom, a few people who use this already, perhaps for explaining an admissions process, or perhaps a personalized family follow-up, and it has a little circle with your face in it. So it just brings to life your communications. So That's another one that I think is a really nice way of keeping that personalization, but using AI. So this next slide, I'm going to show you a bit of an example. Oh, this always does this. Right. This is HeyGen. This is my favorite video translation app. And as I'm playing this, think about the different ways you could potentially use this, whether it's direct to parents, perhaps, you're recruiting from France or Germany or whatever, and you're going to visit and you want to just personalize yourself a little bit before you go perhaps on tour to do an event. Or it could be for an open day and you know that you've got some agents coming or an agent visit. So this is a video, and excuse me, obviously you'd look a lot smarter than this in your office. But this is a quick video I did on my phone. Is that working? Okay. In the training, it does work. But basically, within a click of a switch, you can choose from over, I think it's 100 different languages. I'm now talking French, and I do speak French, but this is not me speaking French. And you can see the lip sync. Well, you can hear when you go back and have a look. It is incredibly good. And then this is me speaking Mandarin. Can you hear that? Oh, that's such a shame, because this is such an effective slide to show you. But I think you get the gist. It's I just think it is so powerful. So have a think about how you might want to use this in your school. But a point of note here, obviously be authentic. Say, is that AI generated in your note and that you don't actually speak that language? But the good thing is that even if they replied, you'll be able to translate that anyway. And the other really cool development with HeyGen is you can now create a digital twin. So when I uploaded myself the other day, it then creates like an avatar of me, because it's not an avatar, it looks like me. And then all you have to do is put in a new script and it will speak that script. So you don't even have to film yourself again. So even if you're having a really rubbish day and your hair looks rubbish and you're not in the mood to video yourself, you can use your digital twin, put in the script, and it will create the video for you. And again, the lip syncing is really quite impressive. So yeah, just have a think about that one. Onto image generation. And this is something that I think was really behind a few months ago. Video seems to be so much far ahead, but it's getting a lot better every day. A lot of you using Canva for more design and image creation and graphics and that sort of thing. DALL-E was separate, but it's now integrated into ChatGPT, and I'm going to show you some images going forward. And I think this is an area that's going to get a lot more interesting for us, particularly with restrictions coming on and how we're using pupil images. And I know Simon Jones from Bonjour has talked about this quite a lot. There's been some really awful case studies in schools where they're being bribed, with images that they're found on school websites. And a lot of schools are now going towards not showing faces, showing backs, sides, whatever. And a lot of people now moving towards using models for school websites for safety reasons. And I think this is where AI generation is going to become really, really interesting. And I've just got a couple of schools photos to show you in the next slide about that. Midjourney and Leonardo, bit more sophisticated in the image creation, and I think these sort of tools will become more useful as we become more challenged in this area. Is anyone using Kittle? I just wanted to ask that out there. A few people have mentioned it as a sort of a new kid on the block for school marketing teams who want really visually strong outputs fast. But if you are using it, pop in the chat, because I'd love to know how you're using it. But this is an example of, I was working with a school a few months ago. This one on the left is the genuine image, and they were going co-ed in their prep school. They didn't have any boys yet, and they had no time to use a model. So we used AI to create a boy, and it's quite a multicultural school. And I used that image, gave it to them, and they created this image. And I think it's pretty good. I don't know what you think. It was certainly something that we could use. And again, I think it's really important to be upfront about it. So we use representative image here, but you could put AI generated in the corner just in case, parents said, oh, that kid's not at our school. You don't want them starting asking questions. But if you're upfront and honest, I think people realize that you do need to be able to have boy photography if you're trying to sell a co-ed school. So this I used ChatGPT, and to be honest, it did take a bit of churn, a bit of time. You know, it's one of those things where you just want it to be quick, and I almost had to go away, make a cup of coffee, and come back. And I'm so impatient about this sort of thing. But only a couple of days ago, I used Gemini, and I talked about this earlier, the Nano Banana. And it took this little image of the girl, and I think literally within a minute, it created this with a very minimal prompt. And so I would recommend this at the moment. I think it's kind of leapfrogged ChatGPT for image creation. Others out there for CRMs or analytics websites. I'm not going to go through these in details because I'm really conscious of time, which, yeah, we need to crack on a little bit. But these are products out there that you will be familiar with who are using AI for their platforms. There's also a school website out there who are now introducing chatbots as an additional. So lots and lots of different apps out there. And these are other cool tools. I think this is the stage which a lot of people are looking to use yet. Zapier, where you can automate workflows, and it connects over 2,000 apps, so you can build on them. And I'm just starting to build some of those for some schools that I'm working with. Make is a little bit more sophisticated for that, but none of these, you don't need to know code. It's all very user-friendly. Fathom, I think a lot of you have experience of this now, really good at summarizing calls. I found it really useful working with agencies, where you talk about a lot in a meeting, and you need to do that, you need to send me the assets for that, we've got a deadline for our digital for that, and it literally within seconds after the meeting you've got all your action points, a summary of the call, whereas I used to wait sort of a week for follow-up email from an agency sometimes, and that would be quite frustrating. Otter, again, really useful if you are in parent consultations or something like that, you want to record the meetings and get summaries of it. Again, just be really transparent that you're using it. And Claude is something that was recommended by Gemma at HubGem. It's a device that you can buy on Amazon, and she takes it to conferences, into meetings, and it's just really useful, again, for transcripts and summaries. I tried Otter the other day at the conference, and the free version only lasted half an hour. So just if you want to trial it, just be aware of that, because I didn't want to sort of go through the whole buying ritual in the middle of the conference. But I do know, I picked up a conference the other day, doctors are now using a version of Fathom in their consultations, and it's really speeding up their process in summarizing their consultations with patients. So it is now going to be adopted in lots and lots of different sectors. So how do you choose the right AI tool for you? And I think, a lot of it is school dependent, but if you're really working it in isolation, you've got to really go back to the why. Where are your biggest pinch points? Try and identify those tasks that are being repetitive, and then make a plan. Look at the tools that you think you might want to adopt first. Don't go all in, because you just won't be able to keep on top of it. Start small. Start with your ChatGPT, your Canva, or your HeyGen, and start trialing them, and put a bit of a budget aside. And you might think, oh, $25 a month, that's quite a lot. But actually, if you compare it to some of the other tools that you're looking to buy, like websites or podcasts and all that sort of thing, actually, if you put aside £1,000 in your budget for next year, you could get a lot of really useful AI tools for that. But test them first. The free versions are pretty good, but you soon realize if you want to download it and use it, you do need to then pay. And if you have got a team, bring your team on board. I think that's really important. And, your next meeting, right, what AI tool do you think would really help us here? Let's try it. Come back in a couple of weeks, what we found. So monitor, tweak. And again, don't get stuck in a channel. And I think I've been a little bit guilty of this. I use ChatGPT a lot, and I've got really good at using it. But then, it was just really good for me to get out of my comfort zone and go and use Gemini the other day. And actually, that's got better at that. So I think that's what I'm trying to say here. There's no set answer, and I'm sorry that I haven't got the sort of the best thing, but it's about trying and adapting. You're still early adopters in what we're doing here, and all the companies are trying to get their share of the marketplace, so are getting better at different things. This is my AI mix. I thought it would just be useful to share what I'm using, and it's actually amazing how many tools you are beginning to use. The ones with a pound sign are the ones that I pay for. This is just for my business. But others, I'm using the free version right now, but I'm seriously thinking about buying into HeyGen. I was on a webinar yesterday, and somebody was asking, is there not like a company that offers all of this in one? And somebody mentioned a tool called Abacus. which does give you access to all the major tools for one monthly fee of $10. And I thought, oh, that sounds good. Let's go and have a look at that. But what you find is, whilst it gives you access to lots of different capabilities, you won't necessarily get the value of, so it gives you ChatGPT 5, for example, but it won't give you the pro version of it. So it will give you the basic version of it. So again, it might be something worth looking at if you want to give your team access to lots of different areas, video, image, whatever, but worth just exploring how good each of those ones are if you're not paying a higher amount. I can't finish this webinar without mentioning how important it is to use AI prompts. I went to a really good conference in February, and there's a lady called Julie Holmes who just had this really, really catchy saying, "You do you." And I think it's really easy to remember. So it's really important when whatever AI tool you're using, whatever you put in the beginning, the 20% is you. You choose the prompt, the right prompt, and we'll talk about that in the next slide. Then you let AI do the work, the 60% of the work. But this final 20% is the most important bit. You review it, you edit it, you refine it. How many AI generated things have we seen out there that haven't been tailored to the company or to the audience? And if I see another school post that says, "We're thrilled to announce," I think I'm going to go mad, because that is what ChatGPT does if you don't customize it. And you can see some schools, 4 posts in a row that have that as their first few words, and it just drives me bananas. We're better than that. And as you get better at prompting, you'll probably find that you end up sort of being a bit more 30%, 60%, 10%, because the better the prompts, the better the output is going to be. And what you have to remember is AI doesn't know everything. So that 20%, it can make mistakes. And if you always check the source if you don't know the subject matter, because it doesn't know everything. And somebody mentioned to me yesterday, they think of their ChatGPT or whatever as equivalent to a postgrad. Really, really intelligent, no life experience, but have all the time in the world to help you in research. I thought that was quite a funny sort of way of thinking about your AI assistant. Smart prompting, stick this on your wall. There's a copy of it on my website. Set the scene, make it specific in your prompting. Are you writing a headline or ad copy? Who is the audience? Who are you talking to? Do you want bullets? Do you want 3 paragraphs? This is really handy when you're writing perhaps editorials. They want a certain length of words. You can ask it precisely what you want and then test and tweak. So don't skimp on the detail here. Talking about the audience, really important to give your audience personas. If you haven't got them for your school, this is a really good prompt to ask ChatGPT or whichever AI tool you're using. Again, it will be in the notes. I'm not going to go through it now, but save them. So if you haven't got them, ask for the personas, save them in a folder, or as I was talking to you before, in your custom GPT, this is where you would add your persona for your area of the school. Say it was the prep school. Your personas for your prep school audience, you'd put in here. So then when you're asking it to produce content or analysis, they know who your audience is. So I have them for different schools, for example. Just to give you a feel of the types of different prompt examples you can use, these are 3 that I've used quite commonly. The first one I used for school recently. I love data. I love analyzing data. But when I asked ChatGPT to give me their thoughts, I did find a few extra angles which I hadn't thought about. So don't necessarily let it do the work for you, although of course you can. I think it's, you still need to put your input in, but it can really help you think of different angles, perhaps the data that perhaps you might not have picked up. Also really good for web experiences, web SEO. And I've got loads of prompt examples on my website. There's a link there just to give you some ideas of how it can support you in making your school marketing better. And if you want to move a step further than that, this is another really good exercise just to give you a feel of how you can then get it to help you that next step. So this is to improve your visibility on Google. Perhaps choose a web page from your website that you want to perform better. Take your Google Analytics keywords for that page, say for the last 12 months, and you'll find that in your search console. Ask your Google, your app, to suggest changes to that web page to increase your SEO. So it will give you some ideas. and then you can ask it to perhaps write you 3 blog articles to help capture that content. So it's a way of, and you can do this all in one project, all in one flow that can really help you take your learning and take their expertise to the next level. And Google won't penalize you for AI content. A lot of people think that, as long as you don't just duplicate it, copy and paste it. You've got to personalize and tailor it to your business, and then it won't penalize you. Oh, my slide's not wanting to move on here. What's happening? There we go. How are we doing for time, Alicia?
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as everybody's happy, nobody's left. So,
okay, let's go. I just don't want to, I know I'm going quite quickly here. A lot of people, there's a lot of chat around SEO versus GEO. So people are now searching in different ways. And I don't know about you, but I now don't use Google, or hardly ever use Google. I just go to ChatGPT because I hate all the adverts. And I don't want to be served content that people are paying for necessarily. I want the genuine answers. So the way that people are changing, searching for things has changed slightly how we need to be looking at how we're building our websites. Don't panic, it's not massively different. Technical SEO still matters, but GEO it responds to like your headings and things like that, or how to, what is, more sort of conversational phrases. So have a think about that. And again, ChatGPT can help you with this. Schema markup is also, sorry, I keep flicking ahead here. There we go. Schema markup is something that you add to your website's HTML, and your web provider may have done this already, but it helps search engines to better understand your content and pulls it out. Also helps particularly the conversational interfaces like Alexa, Siri, and Google Assistant understand your content better. So a really good way of just practicing this is go into, ask your Alexa or ask your AI search in Gemini or in ChatGPT, for example, what is the best girls' school in Newcastle? You can imagine a parent, think, oh, my child's not happy, where do I go next? And asking AI, and see what the output is. And if you don't like what you see, you can see how you then need to adjust perhaps how it's looking at you. So just a really quick example on that. This is probably the most important side of all. AI can obviously generate the content, but it can't tell you what's good. Only you can. Your experience and intuition matter here. And this is where I was talking about earlier on, HI has to be balanced. So human intelligence has to be balanced into your use of AI. And there was a lot of chat about this in the teaching world. You need to maintain your authenticity, be transparent about what you're using. If it's chatbots, then say it's a chatbot. Don't pretend it's human. Add your brand voice and personas. Humans learn differently to machines, and we have that richer experience, so we must make sure we have that oversight. Strip anything personalized before you upload, unless you are sure and your IT servers are sure that it is protected, and that you're not sharing that data with the model. And the business plan of ChatGPT is the most secure for this. The biggest risk is really over-reliance. You need to learn how to use it safely to build trust with your audience and with your school. And a lot of people are asking about AI policies, and you need to work with your IT or SMT on this to ensure compliance. The terms and conditions are changing all the time. An example of this was Claude. The default is now to open learning. So if you're using Claude, you need to make sure that those settings are off. And a Sutton Trust report recently stated that only 27% of schools have an AI policy in place. And in state schools, that's only 9%. So it's really surprisingly low. So don't panic if you haven't got one in place. But if you do, perhaps put it in the chat here. I think this is a real place where we need to collaborate and help each other out. And there are quite a few people out there who are helping schools put AI policies in place, the real techie wizards. You might get a bit of kickback, and a lot of people are talking about the concerns of the environmental impact. There's no doubt about it. AI does use energy, but we've got to balance the positive with the negative here. We're already using lots of energy in search platforms and social media. But the good news is that these providers are trying to move towards more new renewable energy. And I don't know if anyone was watching the news last night, but with the Trump visit and everything, Microsoft are going to pour in 30 billion into the UK, new data centers and everything. But it's really going against some of our environmental policies that the ministers are putting in place. So there's that real bashing of heads between wanting the progress in AI, but also trying to keep our environmental targets in check here. But also AI can help reduce waste in lots of sectors, and it is showing that it can help certain sectors reduce that. So we've got to take sort of the positives with the negatives a bit. And just the last thing, some schools I noted was highlighted at this recent conference, they're trying to get good deals with AI solution providers. And to get the good deals, they're signing away their data. And I think we need to be really careful that we have a moral compass with this and ethical participation. We need to act fast to keep abreast of it, but we need to move cautiously. And I think that was one of the big things that came out of it. Act fast, but move cautiously. Collaborate and share. We're all learning together. So what about the future? I think the next step for a lot of us is automating those workflows using Zapier Make or custom built ones. Looking at AI optimization, ensuring that your website is optimized for AI search. AI agents can operate without human intervention, so you can start scheduling them to do that work behind the scenes. For example, scan competitor websites every month and provide me with the update. You don't have to go and do the prompt. You can set up your AI agent to do that in the background for you. New AI products. There's a link here to a TED talk about the new AI glasses. How many of you do you think you've got pupils wearing these in your classroom at the moment? And I'm sure we don't have our data privacy policies covering that right now. Huge advancements. You can now buy them on Amazon. They're still quite expensive, but we know some of our children have big budgets. So really, really great in terms of, for the blind, for example, you can ask it to find where your keys last were, or it remembers everything that you're looking at and can feed that back to you. Other products, they've got chips now that you can put into your brain to control your cursor, control your iPhone. Amazing for those that are paralyzed, but you just got to think of the risks around all that. And I just don't think we as a country are ready for that, let alone schools. How about this? This has caused quite a big conversation starter at the conference I went to. This is known as Optimus. This is the Tesla bot, the general purpose robotic humanoid created by Elon Musk. And he actually stated that this has the potential to be more significant than his Tesla vehicles over time. How would you feel about having that doing your washing for you, Alicia?
Oh, I'd love it.
Me too. But it's interesting. I would love it, but a lot of people were really freaked out by it in the conference. And if you've got a spare $20,000, Alicia, this is your man or woman. Yeah, so this really is the future. And I wonder if our children will be having these in their houses sometime soon. So the future is bright, if a little worrying. I think it'll be really interesting seeing the outcome of Trump's visit today or the next few days. Huge investment coming into the UK. We're apparently third in the world for AI development, but we don't have the infrastructure. And this is something that I think the UK are open for, from America in particular, with Microsoft coming in. So something to keep abreast of. I'd say just keep learning. These are key people that I follow. There's lots more. If you want to follow them on LinkedIn, they've got useful newsletters. Julie Holmes, I think I mentioned her earlier. She's got these great little books of prompts that you can buy. And don't forget about YouTube. Loads of AI tool tips on there if you're getting stuck with them. So just to sum up, this little image of AI versus HI here. AI is your co-pilot, not your compass. Do your smart prompting, you do you. Explore the tools, find the right ones for you, use them ethically, keep learning. These things are advancing all the time, and be that human-led, expert-led, AI-driven marketer that you can be. So please do get in touch. I'd love some feedback. Find me on LinkedIn, connect with me. Really happy to be enthusiastic with you to help you out if you're getting stuck. And yeah, lots more prompts on my website. Over to you, Alicia, if there are any questions.
Thank you, Sophie. That was absolutely brilliant. I appreciate that you covered a lot in what was quite a small session. And we have got a half-day course available. It's just £49 that Sophie put together, which goes into more detail. So some of those things that she just touched on, if you feel like actually I would like to know more about that and I don't want to go and do my own research, do take a look at that course. But I'd now like to hand it over to Guth from Applica. I'm sure quite a few of you are familiar with Applica. I know Debbie from Aysgarth says, Guth, she's sorry that she's had to leave because she wanted to say hi. I know she's a big fan of your product. And so I will just hand over to Guth and he will just tell you quickly a little bit about how Applica can help your school.
Alicia, thanks so much. And Sophie, that was amazing. Honestly, amazing. We're, at Applica, it's on the top of the jotter how we're using AI, and how we can use it to be more efficient and effective at our, within the business, but then also, are there opportunities to put it into the product to help schools? So no, it's amazing. And it's great. It's great to see so many school leaders on the call and learning about it. I think it's all very new to us all, and yeah, we're definitely in learning mode, and just trying to figure out what's going on. So it's really, really interesting. As Alicia says, some of you maybe have heard about Applica and what we do, and we're primarily an end-to-end admissions and marketing software that hooks into ISAMs and hooks into SIMS if you're using either of those MISs. So it's kind of the front end. What I'll just put in what's new. I guess what's new, just in one or 2 minutes. I'm putting in the chat Applica One. So I just like to draw your attention to Applica One. It's what we're really, really excited about here. And what it is it's a marketplace. So some of you will know that Applica was born out of I was a geography teacher in West London, at a school called Greenford High School. So it was a state school, and we started it back in 2017. And so naturally we work with more state schools. We work with about coming up to 50% of state secondary schools, and then about just close to 100 independent schools. But why do I tell you that? Because we've created Applica One because what we were finding is that students were making multiple applications to schools. And in terms of that efficiency piece, often it's parents making them. And so they would be making, especially in large conurbations like London, and maybe you find this yourselves, that students are interested in joining your school at sixth form. And so they're making multiple applications, and they've got references. And as a school, you don't know whether you're ranked first choice, second choice, third choice. And then on enrollment day, which I know perhaps is less of a thing in the indie sector, of course, you've got people making deposits, which will give you a better understanding of whether they're going to be joining you. But there's a lot of movement going on in the state sector. So long story short, we created Applica One to try and help parents, help students find the courses that are of interest to them, and also find schools that are of interest to them. And at the moment, we've started with the sixth form because that's where we were, as I said, had experience and got most coverage. But this just to give you an idea of the scale, we had 300,000 students with Applica One profiles searching for courses, making applications across the network. And obviously each of those students will have a parent, and those parents will be interested in looking at all types of schools. So what I'd love you to do, if you're not yet using Applica for the admissions and marketing part of the product, is to claim your free Applica One profile. And the benefit of that is you can start to market your school. You can start to list your sixth form opportunities. You can tell the parents, more particularly the students, about the destinations where your students go on to. You can list your or map out your application process, so they're aware of what's going on and how they can apply. That part of it is totally free. You can also list open days on there for free and post them to Applica One. So that's there is then the other part that it helps with more of the automation of the workflows to do with admissions. But yeah, wanted to take just 2 minutes to share a bit of information about Applica One. And yeah, check us out on LinkedIn. We hopefully we're posting a little bit more in there. Follow what we're building there, and yeah, if it sounds interesting, funny enough, we're actually trying to get out and meet more schools. So yeah, I guess the antidote to AI is we're not going out as robots yet. We are sort of flesh and blood, and so we'd love to come out and meet with you, learn more about how you're managing your marketing and admissions, and compare notes and see if we can help you at all. So yeah, thank you so much for having us, Alicia and Sophie. Again, yeah, amazing presentation. I learned so much, which I'll be bringing back to our team. So thank you.
Not at all. Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you, Garth. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. As I say, we are very grateful to Applica. And the next session is on the 19th of November, and that is looking at Canva. So I know that Sophie talked about Canva a little bit. I was fortunate enough to be invited there for a day for a training course, and I thought I was quite good at Canva, and I realised that I actually was terrible at it. There was so much that it can do, but I don't think it's necessarily that intuitive to find some of the really good features that it's got. So please do come along to that session if you are available. And this session will be recorded, so we will send it out to you so you can watch it back with your team. And I'll also send you Sophie and Garth's email so you can get in touch with them if you've got any questions. And if anybody's got any questions now, please do ask. But otherwise, just say thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at the next Wednesday webinar. Thank you.